I actually sent an email to a few close friends, and really, I think they have this thing called, it's like a 360 profile of yourself. But anyway, I took some questions and sent them to some friends, and I asked. Essentially, it was like, what do what do you see in me? What are the qualities that you see that make you want to remain my friend over all of these years? And
All right, y'all. So Ash Rand is back and better than ever, and we've got some interesting things going on today. We are going to be talking with Jermale Eddie. We're going to let him go ahead and introduce himself in a minute, but it is something that we all are concerned about, and we want to talk to you about what happens to the business owner when they, have to like walk away from the business, shut the business down, or whatever happens. What do they do next? We're kind of curious about that. Ash, did you have a couple of questions for before we get going?
No, absolutely. I just really want to know because being someone who is working a full time job as well as a full time entrepreneur, you want to make sure you maintain that stability. But when was it that time where you felt like it's time to transition? Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs would want to know that as well. Like, what was that moment for you?
sure, yeah. I think many people listening. Well, I shouldn't say it like that. Some people listening may know me as the former owner, founder of Malamiah Juice Bar and the Malamazing Juice Company here in Grand Rapids, in downtown Grand Rapids. A few locations, and I had a location in Granville. With our Malamazing wholesale company, that product got to the Meyer stores, to the hotels, and some hospitals, and just whoever had lips in a stomach that wanted some juice, we got it to them. um, so that was a prerequisite. That was a prerequisite.
Yeah.
And so we held strong for 10 years. For
Well, that's a
10 years.
congratulations on that
That's
moment.
Thank
amazing.
thank you. And honestly, throughout those years, I didn't know that it was a big deal.
Mm.
It was just myself and my family, having a dream about, wanting to do something. And the something just for the community just so happened to be juice. We weren't super passionate about juice, 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 right? But that was the vehicle that kind of was the epiphany that came to us. So we got on that vehicle and said that we would ride this wave until the wave died down. And so for so long, that was my identity. It's funny, even today, I will go on my porch and somebody will be walking by or drive by and be like, "Hey, what's up, Juice Man?" Or
That's right.
or
Yeah.
my one neighbor will call me Juice. Um, so I still have that part of that as the identity in terms of what they knew me for. But I was really, really worried for a while because to me that was it. That I felt
Hmm.
like I was a one hit wonder. And I had friends around such as Randy, others, especially my wife and other close friends that kept telling me that there's more. There's more to me. I'm not a one hit wonder. I
Right.
just so happen to go to school in a different way, the School of Entrepreneurship, and have a lot of learnings. And then, class was over for that session. So how am I going to utilize those learnings for the next session?
It's interesting you put it like that. That during the time you were doing the juice, and even his license. What did your license plate say, sir?
It used to say Juice GR.
Yeah, juice. Yeah. I mean,
Juice.
so when we think about identity, and we're seeing a lot. Why we're even talking about this, y'all, is that we're seeing a lot of businesses close,
Yeah.
and black business specifically in this Grand Rapids area. We're seeing a lot of them close, and what really started Ashley and I thinking was what do they do next? Now, of course, we're Ash Rand Career Services. Not only do we talk about business stuff or career stuff, but we talk about business and we talk about life. There's an intersection.
Hmm.
Mainly, you heard us talk about, hey, jobs, AI, and all this kind of stuff. But now you have a founder that has, just told you what happens next and that worry when one thing has been your identity.
Hmm.
That's what I'm super curious about. I'm known as, now I
Yeah.
got to go out and find a job or something like that. Is that what you did, Jermel? You found a job. How was that? that feeling of kind of letting down some people.
Well, um, so my journey as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a business owner, engaged community person, all of that, it's funny to me because number one, when I had so many hats. I wasn't really a one hit wonder. I was a dad. I was a spouse. What I'm saying, a friend. I had so many hats. But when people tell me how busy they are, I kind of chuckle because many may or may not realize, but during that entire, um, well, 80% of the time that I own the business, I also worked a full time job.
Yes, yes.
So as you Randy, as you asked me that, how was that, or what did I do? Um, I was I was doing it because not that I didn't have faith in the business, but I also knew that since I had never done this before, I needed a little bit of money for the bills. I needed some health insurance for the family and whatnot, and so I had to do what I had to do. And I'll tell you this other thing is that a friend of mine, mentor, you all may know him, Bob Fish, the founder, co-founder of Big B Coffee, otherwise known as Big B Bob. When I met him, he asked me a question. He said, "Jermel, what would you do?" This is in the beginning. What would you do if this juice thing doesn't work out? If it don't work out? And I said, I don't know. Maybe start something else. I was trying to get real deep because I felt like certain people ask you certain questions, they kind of got to answer. And he
Yes.
said, "Well, I looked at your resume. I saw you on LinkedIn, and looks like you had a few jobs over your life." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Exactly." And I said, "Huh?" He said, "If this doesn't work out or you decide to shift, you may owe some people. You may owe a lender. You may owe some vendors, um, but you can get a job." So he said, the safety net in entrepreneurship, if it doesn't work out, you just go get a job. You go get a job. You're not going to hit the pavement and explode because there's a net there. I'm not going to go hungry. I'm not going to let my family go hungry. So I'm going to get a job. And so, Randy, to your question there, I did take a few moments to say, okay, what do I do now? How can my skills that I've gained be utilized?
That's
So I
good.
wanted to do something that was still kind of in the lane of entrepreneurship or small business, a little bit of economic development and community development because I learned so much. So much for those that didn't hear that, that I knew I would never be the same. And so it's like only certain jobs would appeal to me. And so I told a few people what I was looking for, what I thought I was looking for. And then other people would say, "This is what I think you're good at." And so I just went out there to look and see, okay, what's out there that would check most of the boxes, if not all the boxes that I
That's
was looking
good.
for.
That's good. Ashton, I know you had brought like a whole bunch of questions. I got a series, but if I get to high firing them, we'll be here for too long. I'm just saying.
No, and I have one because Jermale, with me having, again, like I said, having a business as well as working a full time job, I'm a career strategist myself. I help write resumes, and that's something that I do. So I'm
Yeah.
really interested on your transferable skills. How can I say this? How did you grab a lot of that experience and put it down into like two sheets of paper to be able to present to these employers when you were looking for a job transitioning?
Mhm. Well, I'll be the first to say that nothing, people ask about my entrepreneurial journey, nothing in my entire life has been just like boom. It hasn't been that's from here from A to Z perfect. My journey did like this, shot over here,
Oh
came
yeah.
back, went up. You know what I'm saying? It stopped for a minute and then it kept going. And so um, for me, I, I actually I actually sent an email to a few close friends, and really, I think they have this thing called it's like a 360 profile of yourself. But anyway, I took some questions and sent them to some friends, and I asked. Essentially, it was like, what do you see in me? What are the qualities that you see that make you want to remain my friend over all of these years? And it was vulnerable. It was like just taking off your
Yeah.
clothes and walking down 131 and waving at people. It was vulnerable.
Whew.
Um, and so as they said some of those things, I was just like, wow, okay. So I need to be in a job. I need to find a job that I can be relational in.
Mm.
Hmm.
believe it or not, I've had jobs in the past where my supervisor would tell me that I'm not strategic. You're not strategic. I don't know how this is going to work out. This job's going to work out. You're not strategic enough. I'm like, I did a whole business. I two businesses, and I helped many others. And so I had to do some work on myself. I also did some therapy. I had to do some therapy after the business closed. I wasn't I wasn't in a dark place, but I knew that I needed someone to talk to, and I love my wife. But sometimes I need to just be able to get it out and hear an outside opinion. And then I would tell her what we talked about, during the session. So I did the therapy. I reached out to close friends, not family, but close friends who really, really know me, and asked some really tough questions. And I was just ready to hear whatever they said, including the skills that I have. And then I just thought about all the different things that I did in the business and how that can be applied in other jobs, including strategic thinking, um,
Okay.
and strategic planning. And so as I did that, I said, okay, here it is. I'm going to start looking. Now, the cool thing is when you have social capital in the community, when you have social capital, sometimes you don't have to look too far because people are looking for you. So people started telling me. So the current position that I have right now, that someone told me about it at the exact same time that I clicked on it. So a text message popped up while I was
Wow.
job description on LinkedIn. And
Nice.
I was able to say, thank you for sending this. I'm looking at it right now. And then I applied.
Now, y'all just heard, I think, a really cool way to job search, right? Somebody just
Stand
told me
at
about
the
it, and I happen to be looking for it. So we're talking about that social capital, digging into your social capital
Mhm.
buckets. And I wonder if when we think about that business owner whose identity, they put it all in, right? They were 100% in the business.
Mhm.
What then do they do? Because not only they didn't have a little side hustle called the job,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they were all in,
Uh-huh.
and now it's over. And again, some places I know that are right
Mhm.
on the verge of going out or whatever
Yep.
it is. What do you say to them, man?
I say that it's very likely that your next job or your next venture has been or is one of your customers.
Mm, that's social capital.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, that's
And
good.
but you were in some ways you may have been already auditioning for the job even though you didn't know you was auditioning for the job
That's
by
interesting.
your excellent customer service. But I would say like this, and these are the values that my family has and the values we open the juice bar with. You may have been already interviewing for the job. You didn't know it because you have kindness. You shown kindness. You've shown integrity, and you've shown excellence.
That's
Those
good
three
stuff.
kindness, excellence, and integrity. Those three things. Those are the key. And if you have that, you're pretty employable. And so as you think about your next move, you would then just write down who do you believe you are. Take you could even take all of your job descriptions of yourself and throw it in ChatGPT or Claude or any of those things and ask it to spit you out what would be a great position for you. Um, and then you start being intentional about who you're talking to. Now, I'm a firm believer is that you can tell people anything, but you can't tell them everything. All the time.
Mm.
And so there are certain people that you will want to share with. You're gonna want to network with. You're gonna want to go out to some of these networking events out there and just put feelers out. Put feelers out. Start talking to people. You'll start hearing people say, "Yeah, um, we're doing some hiring in our company. We're doing hiring or this." Start listening to that,
Hmm.
and then you start planting your seeds. Start planting
I
your
love that.
seeds. And I think the seeds will continue to be watered by you staying the course of doing what you're doing, and then those opportunities will open up.
Wow, that leads me to a question. How forthcoming? I remember, and this is something I had said to my wife Linda.
Mhm.
And I says, shame and embarrassment.
Hmm.
is something that will make people do weird things. And I admitted to her once. I said, I remember leaving. I didn't want my own hometown to see me struggling,
Hmm.
right? And Jermale had mentioned something about going to therapy. I didn't go to therapy. I just says, yeah, I don't want to be out there searching for a job. I had worked a job for 21 years. The job closed. The plant closed.
Yeah.
And now I was like, I gotta go and search for a job. Everybody kind of know me as a dude that's always worked, et cetera, et cetera. Now they're gonna see me out applying for jobs, and it was super duper tough for me
Yeah.
to get past the idea that now I have to show that I need help.
Hmm.
But now, bro, I'm telling you,
Hmm.
I see people on LinkedIn, and it's almost cringeworthy. I respect it, but it's
Hmm.
almost cringeworthy when you see them saying open for work. What's the term? Open for
Yeah,
work.
open for work. Yep.
And I'm like, do you really? But at the
Yeah.
same time, I respect it. I
Yep.
wonder, what is that like to again put your ego aside, put shame, feelings, or whatever aside to go out there and say, hey, who do you know?
Yeah.
How
Well,
was it for you?
yeah. My again, I have in my phone right here in my phone. This is not a commercial, by the way, but in my
Probably an
phone,
iPhone, I
you
bet you.
might know what kind of. It's a phone that has a letter in front of it. I'll say
Okay.
I want to be a commercial. Um, has a lowercase letter in front of it. Um, I have a list of 33 people who I spoke with for advice on what to do. One of those 33 is on this podcast with the R and the O as initials. But I have a list of 33 people, and I was talking to those people um, sometimes about the same things, but sometimes some of those people had an area of expertise that maybe somebody didn't, or they knew somebody. You know what I'm saying? And so that right there, I have that. And number one, that was an opportunity also to the previous question about trying to get that next job or whatever. They knew what I was going through, but they also had my back. But in terms of the whole ego thing, like a friend of mine, one of those individuals told me, he said, Jermel, ego will get you broke.
It will keep you broke. Yes,
He
sir.
just said like that. Now,
Ego will keep you broke.
yeah, I'm about to say I don't know if that's proper English, but it'll get you broke. And um, I said he ain't gonna get me because I don't want to get got. But I started doing an inventory of all that was at risk if I didn't. House, cars, food, kid activities. Now those are necessities, but there's also some wants that are at risk too. Um, and I had more to lose. I had a lot to lose if I didn't do it. So,
Yeah.
okay, all right, let me lay my ego down. First, I had to admit to myself too that it was time to move on. And that was a period of grief.
That's
Like,
interesting.
like if I can be really, really vulnerable here, I had times when I was crying, like in tears in my car. Um, Ugly tears sometimes. Sometimes I didn't even know where it came from. And so that's when I knew that I was grieving something that may not have died yet, but it was on its way because the season had already come. And I was holding on to something that was on its last breath. So I was already grieving it. And so once I released that and once I said to myself, this is it, and make that decision, then my ego got put to the side. And it's almost like it just went away. I have to admit to
Wow.
myself where I was at, and it went away. And then that's where I started to, okay, I need to do this, and partner that with journaling, getting some good journaling going. And Randy,
Yeah.
you know this as well. The affirmations.
Yeah, man.
Randy, I remember you told me you said yeah, you gave me a few of them, but one of them you said something wonderful is going to happen to me today, and I
Yeah.
still say that to this day.
Oh, it's out there. It's
Yeah.
just waiting for you to get up
Yep.
and get into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something wonderful is about to happen to you today.
Yeah. So again, so when I admitted to myself truly where things were at, that's when I think the weight kind of came off me a little bit, and I was able to walk further into whatever that next thing is. Now, I didn't say I am done with entrepreneurship or business ownership for the rest of my life. I just knew that it was a different season, and also recognizing all the lessons I learned about how to build different or how to build better.
Follow that up, Ash, because
Yeah,
I
you
got
know
I got to
what?
recover from that.
That was a lot because I do appreciate you being vulnerable because that's something that we want to hear. Because I always thought to myself, it's like on that other side of fear, that
Yeah.
door of fear, is that dream that you've been
Mhm.
constructing, your
Yeah.
vision. You got to walk through it to get
Yeah.
through it, right? So hearing a little bit of that story, that's kind of what it's resonating with me because it's starting to connect those dots.
Hmm.
I definitely feel as like a black business owner, there's a lot of challenges and barriers just alone. But what would you say was most needed when you were at that moment and you were
Hmm.
looking to redefine success? What do you feel like the resource that wasn't there for you that you absolutely needed at that time? I know you mentioned you had
Yeah.
your phone with 30 folks that you can connect with that was giving you those affirmations.
Yeah.
That was one thing, but what is something that you feel like you were truly missing at that moment that you really needed?
That's
I
good.
mean, are we? I mean, you know, are
Let's
we?
get there.
Are we still
I was
talking?
missing some money. No.
Are we still? Is it? Am I still? Is this still a safe place for vulnerability?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Get
Um.
there.
It
Tell
will be
us.
on YouTube, sir. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And there's only a few people on YouTube, so I don't mind sharing this. Really, what I felt like I needed was to be able to talk to people, and I'm not talking about hundreds of people, a few people who looked like me that had experiences like me. Um, and and what I mean by that was I there was not a lot of people who looked like me, black individuals who had businesses where my business was at, tenure wise for 10 years, revenue wise, um, in terms of notoriety. And so for a while, I just kind of I kept to myself trying to figure it out. And I wanted to talk with someone who looked like me. And though found one or two, I wish there was more. And I'm not saying I wish there was more who closed businesses that could talk to me, but maybe I am. And what I'm trying not to say, what I'm trying not to say here is the word failure because it wasn't a failure. So what I wish I had was more black people that I could talk to who had a long tenure in business, who accumulated a certain amount of wealth and revenue, um, and you know, people knew the business name, and that it didn't work out,
wow. Yeah.
so that they can walk me through, or they can give me a tissue because they still got theirs in their pocket because they remember when.
Oh, that's so good.
I spoke with more non-black individuals, more white individuals who had the experiences than I did black individuals, and that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, what that showed to me, and this isn't the question you asked me, what that showed to me is that there are other communities who get to, we'll just say, who get to fail or who get to learn by something not working out. And then they do another thing. They're not counted out. They're not out for the count. They're not thrown away. They're not discarded. They're revered because they tried some things and learned and went and tried the next thing. Maybe the next thing didn't work out and they tried the next thing. And it was they evolved. There was an evolution there.
Mm-hmm.
But for my sun-kissed people, we don't oftentimes get those opportunities to learn on the fly like that. And in case something doesn't work out, we do something else. Sometimes when when we close the doors or when something doesn't work out, that's a wrap. That could be one person, not something not working out, may look bad on the entire community, and that's not
Yeah.
fair. I kind of felt that for a minute, and that's not fair to say. I don't know. I'm not all good with statistics, so I don't know how many of black folk are in the city of Grand Rapids or in the metropolitan area. But that's unfair for me to say, okay, I'm gonna carry all y'all, past, present, and future. No, no. So I wish that I had people who I could talk to who understood the process of what it meant to go through closing a business, regardless of how it worked out. Closing a business because you're going to go bankrupt, or closing a business because the season isn't over, closing a business because you got to take care of your family, someone's sick or what, you're moving, whatever that is. I wish I would have had that.
Yeah.
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 Does that make sense? Am I?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. No,
No,
that
it
that's
makes a lot
that's
of
one of the
sense.
reasons why I says I want Jermale to come on, because deeper inside I started asking that question. It's like, okay, we don't want to call it failure lab, black failure lab. Well,
Right.
that's already, they got failure lab. But I mean, but then we don't want to be associated with failure. But what's that learning experience? And I wanted you to come on because I think I want to have deeper conversations about this. I
Yeah.
think I want to create something. I think we can actually, and probably will do it through Ashran Career Solutions, because guess what? It is career, it is business, and it's
Business
life.
Yeah.
is life.
But digging in, and it's one of the questions on here, you just answered it. It's like the expectation of the black business person, right?
Yeah.
And then that, what do I do now that I got to go find a job?
Yeah.
All of that. One of the other questions I had in here is like, you didn't really have a lot of business or not business search, job search problems, but I do wonder, when you did go on some interviews, having been a business owner, did you get any pushback because they're like, you're an entrepreneur. I don't like entrepreneurs.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, you went to organizations that were entrepreneurial, blah, blah, blah. But
Yes.
did you go on anything else where they were looking at you like, you're an entrepreneur, bro?
Um,
Y'all are wiry.
you know, I didn't, because I knew my skill set. But Randy, actually, I wanted to. There was a couple things that I wanted to, because my I was bruised so badly for a period of time with the closing of the business, where I just want to do something different. I didn't want any responsibility. Like in terms of in terms of
I don't want to make payroll. I want to be a part of payroll.
That's it. I just want to get paid.
I didn't want no keys to no door. I didn't want no security code. I didn't want to be on nobody's business card, and then also there were some things I was like, well, maybe I would be good at something else, because there's some transferable skills there. But then I'm like, nah, let me just stick with what I know. So where I am now is transferable skills, and there's a whole lot of other stuff learning that I don't know. And what I've learned over the course of my career in life is that every position that I've gotten into is something that I have to build. I'm always being hired for something that, oh, this is the first whatever director that we've ever had in this
Oh,
position, or
wow.
this is the
Wow.
first this. And so it's always been somewhat, if we want to use the phrase, entrepreneurial to a degree, even without me knowing what that was.
Still had to build, huh?
Yeah, and so
Wow.
I've never been able to just get a job and just, hey, kick back, and I haven't been able to do that. And I have to
That's
accept
crazy.
that okay, um, the divineness wants this brother right here to be in a position where I'm building something, or influencing something, or changing culture of something, and I may be doing that for a particular season, get it up and running, and then I'm on to the next thing. Now I don't want to get all spiritual and be like, the Lord called me to be a job, an entrepreneur, apostle, or nothing like that. but it's like I can't escape. I've tried. I can't escape that being that person.
That's
I've
funny.
tried. I've tried.
Because I think when I first met you, it was Project Blueprint. You remember Project Blueprint?
Now,
Yeah.
he laughed. Now you
Joe.
gotta tell me what Project Blueprint
Well,
is.
But
it's
listen,
cool, but I didn't
Ashley,
know who I was
this
meeting
was
at the time.
all this was all black. Ashley,
Okay.
this this had waves.
He was
It was not-
young. He and I think Anissa was in
she
Project
was in
Blueprint too, right?
Yep.
I got a picture somewhere,
Same.
and
Same.
it was Joe Jones.
Yep.
And, if
Okay,
y'all
I
in
know
Grand
what
Rapids and y'all hearing this in Grand Rapids, y'all know Joe Jones, right?
Mm.
He was the facilitator for it, right? And I think that's when I had just first met Joe, and I'm in
Yeah,
Project
me too.
Blueprint,
That's when I first met him.
yeah, and it was all about teaching of color folks to sit on boards and I think it was it via the United Way where they kind of
Yes, that's where we met at.
yeah, we were downtown. So I got this picture, and Jermel must have been, I don't know, maybe 150 pounds,
Yeah.
right? We were young. We were all young. And Jermel's a little bit younger than, maybe a lot bit. I don't. He's younger than me. But I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm going, this is really interesting. But out of that group, as I look at some of the folks out of that group, I've seen, I got to get that picture back out. Some people do a lot of things. I think there's a couple of PhDs in the group. I think, right? So I got to remember who actually was in there. But it was so interesting that from that meeting, and we didn't kind of like meet like, hey, I just remember looking at the picture and saying, hey, that's Jermale. But what I'm getting to is that at the time, I don't know if you were in the like church planting at that point. You would go into to areas and start churches. Is that so?
Yeah, I think at
You
the
were
time.
always entrepreneurial.
Yeah, I think I was a youth pastor during that time, building that program. And Randy, when I was in the Urban League, I was the first director of education and
Yeah,
innovation.
yeah. But then you also wasn't you like one of the co-founders of Blend?
Yep, yep, right, fresh out of
You remember
college.
Blend?
I
Ashley,
remember
you heard of
Blend.
that?
I do. Yes,
I
I
never
remember
liked the
Blend.
spelling, but whatever.
Yeah, it
Well,
was like Blend, like squares,
BL2,
right?
and I'm like,
well, they originally. It's funny because I was just out of college and I was working in multicultural affairs, and there was this new phrase, multiculturalism, and they really wanted to call it black with a Q. And I said, nah, if we're trying to also raise money from who don't look like us, like certain families in this, and we ain't gonna be able to do that. And so
so
that's
they
why we
called it
came up.
Blend
That's why we went with blend.
with a 2 in it.
Yeah, with the two. I remember that.
Anyway,
Leaders,
so again,
business leaders
starting
look
stuff.
to encourage new direction.
Yeah, it's so funny because I went to one of their events and I was like, okay, all right, this is cool.
Yeah.
But to Jamel's point, you start taking an inventory of yourself. And it's something that Ashley and I do when we are building our interactive resumes for you. What we do is we take an inventory of the things you've done. You may go, I haven't done a lot. And we just sit with you and go, well, tell us about it. And in creating the interactive resume, why we call it interactive, it's just not paper. Because
Yep.
sometimes that paper just does not represent you when it goes through an ATS, a tracking system. But that interactive resume shows the things, the impacts that you've had, and then it's got some bells and whistles and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
imagine with all Jermel has done, literally just trying to put it on paper, it would be crazy. So Ash, what are some of the other as we kind of round this corner here?
Okay, I got one last one. So, any entrepreneurs that were in the place you were when you were making that transition, that are struggling, that need some support, what is something you would tell them right now?
I would tell them that vulnerability is key. I would tell them that vulnerability is key. Don't let the fear of the unknown or fear of the what ifs prevent you from being vulnerable. And also pick up some resources on Brene Brown's conversations on vulnerability. That's what helped me make it through. And I would tell them that I would welcome them to contact me. I'd be willing to be what I didn't have, and I do. I mean, it could be it'd be random people, no, not random people, people I know. It'd be on my porch. My wife would be like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just a business owner, in the place that I was once in." But I don't mind listening. I don't mind. I don't mind talking. I would encourage that individual to get a notebook and just start journaling how you feel. Get your feelings out. I don't want to use any bad language, but I remember some of my journal posts, and it was, this ish is hard. Period. Closed it. 3 days later, I think I had the same thing. I should have just said refers to the first, you know. Um, but that's also a free way of, like, almost like self therapy, is getting it out. You may go back and read it later and see where you were at, a year from now, whatever. That's fine, but get it out. I would tell them to find the things that censors their being, their emotions, their spirituality, what that censors their being. For me, it was nature. It was going for walks. That's when I started walking the most. I'm up to 3.5 miles a day, sometimes six if
Oh,
I
that's good.
walk twice now. But to get the stress out of you, especially my brothers and sisters, to get the stress out so it does
Got
not
to.
take over your body. I put on weight during I had a healthy product, and I put on weight that whole time because it was stressful to be up at
Yeah.
2 in the morning, arguing with QuickBooks, and I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. And then when we close, kind of the same thing. Hey, some people say when you stress, you don't eat. Nah, I was eating. But I am down 35 pounds. Amen.
Okay,
All
now.
right then.
But it's those things, and then get yourself a good two, three, four, five. Let's say 3 to 5 affirmations that you know by heart, that you can look in the mirror and say, that you can be in the car and say,
That's
and
good.
and it's okay to do that. It's okay to do that. So for me, it's all in some ways, it's like it's all like touchy feely to me, because it's like you're getting to the core of who
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
You may have thought you knew who you were. You thought you were the juice man, but you weren't. You didn't know who you were during those 10 years. I didn't really know who I was during those 10 years until it got to the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not your identity. It's just what you've identified with
Yeah.
right then. And we're talking about, Ashley and I talk about reinvention a lot. I enjoy it, and
Hmm.
personally reinventing from zero, right? Just looking in the mirror and going, "Hey, what adventure would you like to go on next?" And don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, it ain't super easy, but I try to make it easy
Yeah.
by spinning up something and saying, "You've got 30 days to survive, sir."
Yeah.
And
Yep.
people like, my wife be like, "Who you talking to?" I'm talking to this new business.
Yep. Yep.
So sometimes taking that kind of approach. But here's something that I want to share with everybody. Once you get the interactive resume from Ashley and I, and you go into a 9 to 5, let me be of warning to you, ma'am or sir. I've done it, and it could be a hot mess because you're, as an entrepreneur, are used to making your decisions, and sometimes making them fast.
Yep.
Whereas when you go into an or 9 to 5, I like one of the questions I had was, what was the internal struggles of being in the 9 to 5 box? No, hey, no shame to 9 to 5ers,
Getting there,
but you're
Because I can't answer that
on
one.
time.
you're in a meeting, y'all. If you ever been in one of those meetings, and I have, and where you stand up and you're like walking out, and people are looking at you like, "Where are you going?" Like, I'm not going to listen to this. This is waste. What are we doing? This is a waste of my time. And they're going, "Wait, you do realize you're on our time."
Yeah.
The entrepreneur in you is like, "Do you know what I could be doing instead
Hey,
of this meeting that's going
let me say
where?"
this, Randy. Let me say this. When I started this gig, one thing that I knew I was in the right place is I told them, "This is who I am. This is what I'm good at. This is what I do." It was all relational, and I said, and I know business as well. They say, "You know what? That's what we need. That's what we're hiring you for." Great. I know I was in the right place, but also I went in with my own boundaries. I've never eaten lunch at my desk. I refuse to do
Ooh.
that. And I don't
Working
take my
lunches. Wait, what?
I, I don't take my laptop home
Okay.
Monday through Thursday. I do on the weekends because on Thursday night I do because I may work from home on Fridays, and
Right.
then if something happens on Monday where we don't go in or I got an early meeting, I'll have it with me. So I was able to set some of those things, but the most difficult part, bro, was getting there when they wanted me to get there, as opposed to me just
Jamel will tell you, I was like, meetings?
Yeah.
Bro, why are we meeting at 9 a.m., 8 a.m.?
Um,
It was counter to. Anyway,
yeah,
that part. That part.
oh
All
yeah.
right. So we are in appreciation
yeah,
for Jamel coming in and talking to us, and understand we might be creating something around this. Be on the lookout, y'all. Not only for if you want to go back into the 9 to 5 opportunity,
hmm
but just to expand this thinking. Now, it's all based on what your comments are. If you comment, hey, I want to see more of this, then maybe Ashley and I will pop it out. But if not, then we just, okay, cool. But I kind of think more is coming along the way. We want to have a community of folks that are like on the verge of going, I got to get this up.
yeah,
And perhaps we can show them, but you're only a couple of feet from gold, like the book says. You're right there. How?
hmm
We know, we've seen it. Just dig a little bit deeper, go a little bit faster, or whatever. Or maybe we have some people come in and therapeutically suggest, yeah, you need to let that go.
hmm
8-track tapes are over. Whatever.
Right.
That might be an opportunity too. So, all right, y'all. If we don't got anything else to say, can we then leave just one more gift for folks that are listening in, and that hopefully that gift is a gift of what to do next. Go ahead, Ash.
No, just make sure y'all continue to connect. We have those resources for you right here, regardless of where you at. Career, business, life. We're here to help.
All right, Jamel. One more thing. Let's leave him with something.
Um, here's a quote from Brene Brown: "Vulnerability is not winning or losing; it's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome."
Bro, that's deep.
That is
All right,
deep.
and for me, it is, hey, your next step could be the most important step. Just be unafraid to take it. All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.